Okay, guys. Um, so part one is down. Let's go to part two. And part two is mainly about, for season one, the overview of villains in this show. Now, I'm not going to do every villain. I'm going to do the most recognizable villains in terms of also the ones that are actually in the Green Arrow comics from the past and so on and so forth. So that's how I'm gonna do this. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the villains. Overall, I thought the villains in season one were pretty overly well done to a certain degree, a very certain degree. Now I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about some of them. Uh, but then there were some that I didn't really care for too much. But like I said, all right. So I think the first one I'm gonna start off with is Constantine Darkholm. Constantine Darkholm, guys, is a character from the Green Arrow comics. He's a Greek assassin. Now in the comics, he was a really short guy. He was really short. I think he was only like 4'11" or 5 feet tall. But he was a monster. This guy beat the hell out of Ali. Even crucified him, but didn't kill him. He was going to, but he didn't, because the people that hired him to kill Arrow to Ali, he didn't. They didn't pay for that. But I'm forgetting the actor who played him, but I was a little bit disappointed of what they did with Constantine Darkholm in this show. Very disappointed because, like I said, you want to go research Constantine Darkholm, and you understand what I'm talking about. You can understand why I was disappointed in how their portrayal of him in the show. In the show, he was a bodyguard or so for one of the first people that Ali went after from the list, and I was just like, uh, he could be a lot better than that. I mean, I was like, yeah, I was just really disappointed in him. So it was overall, I was like, eh, really, really kind of bugged me out that they would dog Constantine Darkholm like that. I was just like, this is a guy that should be going toe to toe with Ali, like blow for blow to the point, even to the point Ali sometimes would get overwhelmed, should be overwhelmed by it, like, yo, God, stay down, something like that. But it didn't go that way. It was just like one-sided sometimes, and he was only in one episode, so that kind of really pissed me off a little bit too. So yeah, it was kind of disappointing. So the next person I'll talk about is China White, played by the lovely Kelly Hu. I love Kelly Hu. She's very talented, very beautiful woman. She is, and she even said in an interview she's loving the roles that she's been playing lately. A lot of the bad girls, and she did China White very much justice, in my opinion. China White is another character from the Arrow comics, and she's real. She's not fake. She's not made up for the show. She's real. She has the white hair and everything like that. And I thought she came across very, very much a good counterpart to her comic version as well. Kelly Hu really got in depth with the role, in my opinion. She played it just like, here's a sophisticated woman at times, but that's just her exterior to make the people look at, okay, well, she's just a figurehead for the triad or something like that. But she's a deadly woman as well, and I like that. I'm like, okay, she has two sides. Or she's like a pancake. She could flip back and forth, like, oh, you see her in the well dressed, sophisticated looks, but then on the other side, it's gritty and aggressive, and she's ready to strike when she needs to. And I was like, yeah, that's what's up. And I like all the time her and Ali interacting, even though she would be on the downfall of Ali, but still it was like Ali had to take her serious all the time she fought. And I really enjoyed how Kelly Hu played it. And I don't think she's dead, So I would love to see her come back once again in the role. Very much. I thought Ollie, I mean, excuse me, I thought Kelly Hu did a good job. So she does get a applause for me for portrayal as China White. So the next person, the next I'll talk about is the Royal Flush Gang. Yeah, now this is a Batman villain, you may be saying, but yeah, and we started to see a little trend right there. Was like there were a couple of characters, villains in this that were more Batman villains than Green Arrow villains, but this to me, what they did with the Royal Flush Gang in this was by kind of a segue of making them kind of come off realistic. Like, okay, they're a family of thieves, but they wear hockey masks that got the playing card symbols on it. And I'm like, okay, all right, I can see where they're going. I knew Mark Guggenheim and all the people behind it weren't going to have them really be decked out in the costumes that look like, Ace, Jack, and all the King and everything like that. I figured they would probably go more realistic, which sometimes I don't mind, but sometimes you got to be like, you know what? Let's skip the realism and kind of go out there. But I thought this was when they introduced them, I thought it was a good way of segueing them into the series in terms of that they all had their reasons of being in this family, but then we also saw that Ollie started to look at them not as just being the bad guy. He knew there was a difference between some of the gangs. Some wanted to stay, keep doing this road of thievery and everything, and others wanted to get out. And sometimes, and that's a cliche that's been done a lot, but to me it was done pretty well done for the Royal Flush Gang. So I didn't mind at all. Personally, yeah, I didn't mind at all. What they look like, but once I saw the mask, I'm like, when they first showed the preview, I'm like, Royal Flush Gang. I'm like, no, and then I was like, yeah, it was them. So yeah, it was fine. So we move on to, I guess, I go on to the other Batman villain, that's Firefly. Now, listen to my boy Deadpoolzilla and Pop Culture Diva, my friends, talk about their thoughts on it. And, Deadpoolzilla said he didn't care about Firefly. And I'm not sure, I don't remember what Deanna said about it as well. But, as for Firefly, what they did with him was mediocre at best, in my opinion. Like, I had a feeling they were going to have him be something that dealt with fire. I thought he was just going to be an arsonist that going crazy, but they had him be a ex-firefighter that got burnt, left by his fellow firefighters, and supposedly burnt to death, and he's all scarred up and everything, and now he's all like, it's the fire. And just like, yeah, and ready to, just burn things. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, I've seen this done before, but I was like, yeah, all right, instead of him being like a special effects, pyro, condition, guy, they made him like a ex-firefighter that got burnt. He was left by his friends. And that episode that they did it was kind of like a mystery, and I was like, I'm a sucker for a good mystery, so it was kind of cool that they was doing that. But I was just like, yeah. Overall, when they finally showed what he looked like, he came in the whole fire suit, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay, take that off. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Mr. Napalm here. I'm like, okay, but when he showed his face, I'm like, put the mask back on. Like, put it back on. I don't need to see that. And as for when they showed, as for Deadshot, I thought Deadshot was done very well in the show. A little bit more better than he was in Smallville. I like the connection that him and Floyd Lawton and Diggle have. He's the one that he killed Diggle's brother, and Diggle's out for revenge and wants to get justice for his brother. I'm cool with that. I thought the first time they met, I was like, they got to change that a little bit. I don't like that look from him. And then when they gave him like the cybernetic eye, kind of, I was like, all right, we're moving in the right direction with Deadshot. But overall, I thought Deadshot was done well. Pretty much, I enjoyed what they did with Deadshot. Pretty much. Um, and the last time we saw him, he got the drop on Diggle, and he was going to kill Diggle, but and Ollie was supposed to be there, and that was kind of the falling out between Diggle and Ollie for a while. But overall, sure they'll bring Deadshot back for for the next season or so. I would really hope that they keep up that subplot as well. Diggle trying to get justice for his dead brother. So I was loving what they did with Deadshot. As what they did with Deathstroke, or what we thought was Deathstroke at the time. Overall, the costume was cool. I mean, the mask was great. I liked how they looked, but then we knew that wasn't Slade Wilson. We knew it was another guy that Slade knew and everything like that. But overall, Slade, the mask, the costume, how he looked, I was like, okay, it works for what they were trying to do. But yeah, that's all I really want to say about Deathstroke in terms of the guy in the mask, not the guy that we would come to, not Slade Wilson that Manu Bennett, no relation, played. That's just me. Um, Next, I'll go with Vertigo. All right, let's go with Vertigo. Making him, putting him in the realism that was interesting, but I really didn't. I understood what they were trying to go with. And Vertigo was this big drug, and I'm like, okay, I can understand that. That's fine. Okay, no problem, no problem. I'm keeping an eye. I'm keeping an open eye on it. But the actor who played him, I will agree with Deanna and all of them. He started to come off too much like Heath Ledger's Joker, and I was like, no, no. Now, my opinion was if they were going to keep him like this drug dealer, I would have had him be like the son of a diplomat from another country, that pretty much what Vertigo is from, and Ollie couldn't really touch him or so because he had diplomatic immunity. So see how that would have been a good twist? Like, Ollie can't go around killing somebody, a diplomat from another country. Then he really got the heat on him in a sense. But I really would have thought that would have been a good twist. Like, he would still be doing his daily, selling Vertigo. He started in Europe. He came to the States, started doing it, and I would have enjoyed that. But when they did him in the next episode, I was like, okay, this is a little bit better. But, Ollie didn't kill him. He was going to, but he didn't. And I was like, okay, that was fine. Now for the Dark Archer, or Merlin, played by John Barrowman. Overall, he was good. John Barrowman, who from fame of Torchwood and Doctor Who, things like that. I always enjoy seeing what he's going to come up with, and he was really good as Merlin in that show. Well, the father Merlin. I thought he was really good. He played that role very well. Like, he came off as being kind of like a combination of a lot of those like Kingpin and Lex and people like that, but he also was very dangerous, and I enjoyed his outcome and what he was planning for the show, and planning to do and everything like that. But I thought John Barrowman did a very good job as the Dark Archer, and when they first showed him in the costume, I'm like, okay, we got a copycat. But then when they revealed who the Dark Archer was, I was like, oh, what a twist. So I was like, but then I'm like, okay, he's going to be like the Merlin, the real Merlin for the Merlin counterpart. And I enjoyed that very much. I thought it was fine. Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, there were other villains involved in the show, but Huntress was there, but I'm gonna talk about her. I'll have her be like a part of supporting cast or guest stars and stuff like that. But other than that, the villains to me were great. Overall, like I said, pretty decent. There were some I liked, some I didn't like, and some their counterparts were good. But like I said, once again, like to hear you guys' opinions on the overall view of the villains, and like I said, move on to part 3, which will be talking about some, the supporting cast and everything like that. Okay.